what's up, guys? It's Nuke here with another edition of the NukeStream. Today, we're going to be talking about how people become doomers, how guys become doomers, how you prevent that, so we don't end up like certain people that just give up and then post on the timeline about how shitty life is, even though it's not. That's not really true. So we'll get right into it. So today, guys, I chose this topic as I saw a couple content creators, more of the bigger content creators in this male self-improvement stuff, kind of post really like negative doomer things, like where it's all over, life's gonna end, country's going to shit, morality, the fabric of society is tearing, blah blah blah, this and that, right? And it's there's a reason people get to this point, right? There's a reason, and some of us have been there. Some of us have looked at everything, and we're like, man, this really is like the last. We're going to be the last two generations to really live in peace and harmony. Everything is going to be unraveled and destroyed, right? And that was me, like in COVID, during 2020. I was absolutely like, I gave up hope in humanity, seeing how people handled everything, what happened in the summer with George Floyd and all that stuff. And I kind of lost a lot of hope in people. I was just like, wow, this, like, I don't like people. I don't have any faith for humanity anymore. I don't have faith in my country anymore. I kind of just lost all hope. But then I realized, like, life goes on, right? And things are still working. People, I'm still alive. I ended up moving to Dallas after, and I ended up living a much better life because I took action and decided, like, hey, I can't rely on people just agreeing with me and thinking like me to be happy, right? And that's gonna be the biggest takeaway for today's show, right? So, first question you want to ask yourselves is, why do people feel the world is doomed, right? Well, there's several reasons, and I wrote them down, and I don't even think these are all the reasons, right? But these are as many reasons as I could remember, and I wrote them down as they came to mind. So one of the first things you'll realize, people that kind of lose hope and become doomers, especially with dating and all that stuff, and meeting women, is that they feel cheated out of things other generations had. Right? You see these guys, you see people complaining, oh, the boomers had it so easy, Gen X had it so easy, and then even the Gen Z will be like, millennials had it so easy, so on and so forth, right? So you have this entitlement that because one generation enjoyed something very nice, that you are entitled to that, and then anyone that the current status quo or the current society or the current powers that be took it away from you. And you're pretty much acting entitled at that point. And entitlement is going to lead to disappointment. It always leads to disappointment. It always leads to just despair, loss of hope, because you think you're owed things, right? And when you think you're owed things and you don't get it delivered, you start to get really frustrated, and that's not a good mindset to have. So if we look why people, like, the things that people feel cheated out of is the economic reasons, right? So we look at boomers and they're just like, they bought houses. I think buying a house, the ratio from income to buying a house to the price of a house from when our parents were buying houses has increased sevenfold, right? And I get it, guys. Like, my parents are kind of on the cusp of boomer, Gen X, right there. And they ask me all the time, why haven't you bought a house? Why haven't you moved on? Why haven't you found a wife? Blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, like, it's hard to explain to even my own parents, like, hey, it's because this reason, that reason. And you do it calmly, but they still don't get it. They just chalk it up to you not caring. And that's tough. Like, I get it. I get that sometimes, you wish you had the ability to do the things your parents did, buy a house, start a family earlier than later and all that stuff. But unfortunately, times have changed, and you can either accept it or move on, right? Also, another thing you feel cheated out of is that back in the day, you can just give a woman a wedding ring and then she'd be happy for the rest of her life. And a lot of guys feel entitled to that type of love, that type of relationship with women, where, like, the past generations would be like, hey, uh, you you have to treat a woman nice. You have to give her flowers and give her a nice wedding ring and buy her a house, and that's what you have to do to get a woman. And we know that these days, men and women, the way we go about, courtship and all that stuff is completely changed. Absolutely opposite of what it used to be. And there's reasons for that, right? The main reason is technology. And when I say technology, I mean like everything that we have today, there has to be a catch, right? We cannot just be able to order food come to our door directly. We can't just be able to watch any movie we want on a plane. We can't just be able to listen to a guy talk on YouTube live and comment in real time, right? And also have women that are like in the 50s and 60s where they were absolutely loyal with zero effort. Just existing was enough to get a woman to stay loyal to you, right? It doesn't work that way, guys. It's a little childish to think that you can have both. And the old order thinking that you got programmed that you wish would work is often not because of a morality, it's because it benefited you, right? So if you're a guy and you wanted to court a woman, you can no longer just pay your way through. You can't just be a provider. You can't provide your way into woman's loyalty, right? And a lot of guys hate that, but it's the truth, because if that's the case, then any guy would do. So are you any guy? Are you just, and then guys be like, well, I'm different, I'm special. But I'm like, well, that's a woman way of thinking about love and relationships. You're a man, right? Women love you opportunistically, meaning they love you because you are the best option. So be the best option, right? So yeah. Hola, Nuke, ¿cómo estás? Me alegro de verte. I am happy to see you too, Marty. So yeah. And then another thing, guys, is that guys tend to look at the past generations, past decades, past periods in time with rose-colored glasses, right? Like, oh, the 50s must have been so awesome. Were they? Were they that awesome? How do you know, right? Maybe they weren't that awesome. Maybe they were just as good or just as worse or just as bad as other bad periods of time. It was just different. So realize that there is no time machine. And what you got is what you got, right? Don't feel cheated out of because you are no longer can use provider game to get women. You actually have to be fun, exciting, charming, and run dread and all those things. The tools that we have laid out in front of you, and other men over decades have laid in front of you, like, hey, this worked for me, use it for you, because now you have the most important tool of all, which is the internet. And the internet has changed everything, but now you guys cannot just be, hey, I have the internet, why can't I also have women that are like the 1950s? It doesn't work that way, right? So yeah, we tend to look at things through rose-colored glasses, and we think, oh, hey, the 90s were amazing. And I know the guys that did grow up in the 90s, they often say, like, sorry you didn't live through the 90s, sorry you didn't live through the 80s, life was great, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, maybe there were things that we couldn't fathom. Like, could you guys fathom not having the internet? Could you guys fathom not having the comforts that we have today? Maybe you would have been happier, but you'll never know. And it's a waste of time to think whether you'll be happy or not. It's a waste of time. So right now, the best thing you can do is to just accept what you've been given and stop thinking that, the past is something we should strive for. There is no pendulum, guys. Society just moves forward, and that's it. Time just moves forward, right? You guys hear that? 1 second. All right. Yeah, I didn't close the door on my dryer. But anyways, guys, yeah. Sorry about that. All right. So another reason people feel like something else that creates doomers or the doomer mentality, excuse me, is media slop, right? Like media slop is just an avalanche of, you open your apps and there's just people with their stupid opinions, people that aren't qualified to talk about certain subjects, people that are producing content to get you to respond or have an emotional response, all right, and all that stuff. So articles and media are designed to listen an emotional response from you. And how do they do this, right? The internet in general used to be made up of communities, right? Where like if you like Dragon Ball Z, you'd go in a Dragon Ball Z forum. If you like bodybuilding, you go to bodybuilding forum. If you liked anime, you go to anime forum, whatever, so on and so forth. Whatever hobby you had or interest you had, there was a private community for that back in the early days of the internet. But now, social media has pretty much taken over the internet in terms of information dissemination, whether it be news, discussions, shows, podcasts, whatever. And then what ends up happening, right, is that you're presented with opposing opinions of what you're usually used to, what you've seen, observed, or what you want to be true. So you'll log in, and let's say you come out, you finish watching one of my shows, and you're just like, yeah, Nuke makes a lot of sense. Treat women like this, treat yourself like that. And then somebody online says, hey, if you don't absolutely adore your woman, she'll leave you for another guy. And you just got done agreeing with me on how women don't really like gifts that much. They don't really care about gifts. They just want you to be the man. They want you to be him. So then you get angry, right? And you're just like, wait a minute, why is she trying to convince me of the opposite? And then, social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, YouTube will keep presenting you opinions that are different from your own. And, social media companies, they hide this behind the veneer. They try to present it as, hey, we just want a better opinion for everyone to we don't want to create extremism. But the truth is, it creates a lot of money because it creates engagement, right? There's people arguing, disagreeing with you, agreeing with you, retweeting you, arguing with you, chains of arguments like Reddit and stuff like that happen. And then who benefits? The social media companies. Obviously, the creator sometimes benefits too, but he benefits like 0.01%, whereas the company that the social media platform you're on will benefit 99.9% of what you've just created, which is an argument, discussion, up, and and you hit on a pain point, and people that hit on pain points usually get rewarded. So that's why media slop creates doomers, because they're constantly thinking that this person that they're arguing with represents whatever group that said that idea, right? So if one woman will be like, men generally, let's say something crazy like men are like this, you're like, absolutely not. None of the men in my life are like that. None of my friends are like that. And also on top of that, I have a girlfriend who likes that I'm like that. Blah, 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 right? And then she's like, no. And then another girl joins. And then you're like, why are women so dumb? And you just got to understand, guys, like, women aren't dumb. She is dumb. And even then, is she dumb, or is she just using the internet for engagement, right? So it's like, that woman is dumb, right? And unless you're like a content creator, or you know what you're doing yourself in terms of content creation, you're going to get mad. Especially guys that are slowly unplugging and sort of realizing that women say silly, dumb stuff on the internet all the time. You have to have inner game and inner mastery of your emotions to understand that women say dumb stuff all the time. They don't mean it. If you guys don't remember, there's that video of the girl who the guy kind of makes a pass at her, says something to her like, would you sleep with me or something? And the girl's like, no. And then he moves the mic to her friend. Hey, what do you think? Do you think I'm attractive? Would you sleep with me? And the girl was like, you're kind of cute. And then her friend changes her mind and says, you know what? Yeah, you are. And I'm like, that's how you have to see. That's inner game. That's mastery. That's showing you how women are incredibly fluid and in their points and in things they think they believe in, right? They'll change overnight for the right guy, right? They'll say they hate anime one day, and then the next they're watching Jujutsu Kaisen next to you just simply because they like you, right? And women have to be like that, because if women were stalwart and didn't change their preferences, then men wouldn't be able to connect with men on that level, and they would never fall in love or have get all the benefits of being with a man, because that's one of the ways they connect with men, is becoming more associated with the man's preferences and hobbies and just ways of thinking altogether, right? So yeah, we like that. Like, don't believe that wishy-washy. Women are really, really wishy-washy. They don't believe 90% of the things they say. They say it, and they just see, oh, this creates a response, so I'm going to keep saying it, right? So yeah, that's media slop will make you a doomer if you take it seriously, right? Another one is seeing social media as an accurate representation of real life. The internet does a really shitty job at presenting real life with accuracy, right? Especially if you're in the male self improvement spaces where it's like you have red pill, bodybuilding, politics, right wing politics, all that stuff. All of that does a really bad job of presenting life in a very accurate way online, right? Um, and what happens is uh, people that don't give themselves the opportunity to go experience life themselves, right? And they the definition of what reality is, they get it mostly from the internet. They tend to start believing more what the internet's take on reality is, on how life is supposed to go, rather than them going outside and just literally stepping outside and talking and interacting and interfacing with the real world. Now, is social media kind of approximating reality? I think it is. Over time, reality and social media are going to become almost synonymous, but it's going to be way in the future. It's not now, right? Women can say all these crazy things about how bad men are, but how bad we are, how we take advantage of them, how we're players, we're this, we're that, right? But if you go outside, right, and you talk to a girl, even if she doesn't like you, doesn't find you that attractive, it doesn't bother her that you had a quick conversation with her. It's not gonna ruin her day. She's not afraid of you, right? Unless you look like a creep, which you probably know if you look like a creep. It doesn't bother her, right? And another thing I want to bring up as well is that I personally, there's this content creator here in Dallas who I think he does dating content, and I saw a reel where he went and asked 30 women, I think it was like 30 women, 40 women, man versus bear, right? And almost all the women said man. Some of them gave their reasons, like, hey, I prefer man because I get to someone to talk to, or I prefer man because he would help me get out of the woods, right? Like, these are normal women in Dallas. They're not ugly, they're not crazy, they're not tatted. They're just normal chicks that got out of work, that were eating at a barbecue place or at a brewery, and the women from all races and backgrounds. And he asked them, man versus bear, and most of them said man. You see, and then a couple months ago, maybe 2 months ago, the man versus bear thing exploded. And if you see the video, it's just weird looking women with extra piercings, women that are just out there, women that you would see you yourself across the street because they look so weird. But here in the real world, in reality, right? Your female neighbors, your female family members, the women that you work with, the women that you like to date, the women you see on Hinge, all those women, right? 90% of them would probably say man, right? If you sat down with them, they're normal women, they're normal chicks. And that's how doomers are created, because instead of men going out there to figure out the truth for themselves about how women feel about things, right? They let the internet tell them, right? And then the internet can chop it up, put it and mix and match it and edit it any way to elicit a response from you. And they sometimes do a pretty good job, right? So yeah. All right, let's take a break and we shall continue. All right, and we're back. I'm trying to find the video for that video of you guys, for you guys, of that guy that went out and interviewed the women. I have it way deep in my Instagram saved reels, so whenever it pops up, I'll show it. I'll bring it up, but we'll see. Anyways, guys. Okay, so moving on. If you guys would like to ask questions or leave a super chat, I would appreciate it. It creates, I can answer whatever question you guys want me to answer. I will answer it. But let's move on, guys. A lot of stuff to cover today. Okay, so we talked. So social media is an accurate representation of life. Uh, Remember, guys, when people try to describe social reality on social media, there is bias, there's personal beliefs, there's monetary incentives, right? We have advertiser money for Twitter, where if you say something crazy and it gets engagement, people will say it, even if it's kind of outside of reality. As long as it gets engagement, they'll do it, right? We have hubris, simply women that kind of just, they don't want to accept that there's just certain areas where they don't have power. Like, hey, I'm 35 and I still get men to want to have sex with me. Like, yeah, but like as you get older, you get less options for commitment, and women will do that and constantly will fight days, weeks, post constantly about the wall, when in reality it's like the wall exists, but you have hubris, meaning that you're delusional, right? And all that. And then there's just plain stupidity. People are just too dumb to make a good point, to be concise, to defend their points, or to even say anything intelligent. And then also on top of that, there's people lack of experience, right? So for us guys that are in our 30s, if a 22-year-old says some kind of platitude, am I gonna take it seriously? No, you're a kid, right? Like you haven't lived life long enough to even if the platitude is correct, you haven't even lived long enough for that platitude to be confirmed in your own life. So yeah, that's another thing. So yeah. All right. So moving on. Okay. So another thing that creates doomers is the Messianic complex, right? A Messiah. Basically, let me read the definition of a Messiah just so we can get. So a Messiah is the promised deliverer. Okay, hold on. A leader or savior of a particular group or cause, right? So essentially, when you were growing up as a millennial, right? You were taught, like a lot of millennials, that you were going to be the savior of society, like that your different perspective. You grew up with the internet. You're like this enlightened generation that is going to come in and make everything better. That every generation before you was not as enlightened and awesome as millennials were, right? And as time goes on, you go to college, you go to school, you go to college, and you realize you start working in the workforce, right? I see this happen to a couple of my friends, that you're not that important. You don't have the skills and experience. You don't get to uh, be this awesome contributing member of your company or even society just because you're a millennial and then you have a degree, right? You actually have to work and become useful within your industry and leverage your skills and build yourself up over time until you become more invaluable to whatever industry, company, or even to yourself if you have a business. And that embittered a lot of millennials, right? We created this thing called mental health days. We don't like to work as much. We work from home now. We don't like to interact. We're just, and then we're bitter. All of it, like you see the memes online, like, oh, I wanted a family, a house. I wanted this, but here I am playing, Fortnite in my underwear at 33. And that's because life didn't turn out the way I wanted. And I'm like, it did turn out the way you wanted, right? Because you were taught wrong. You were taught that no one told you that, hey, you don't just get to enter society and be treated special because you're a millennial, right? You have to go out there and become useful to society. And the way you become useful is through experience, skills, and also soft skills, being sociable and all that stuff. So that made millennials bitter. That contributes to the doomer mentality, right? Because along with that, it's that entitlement. And that entitlement is, hey, I'm a millennial. Where's the stuff that my mom got and my dad got when they were 20? How come I don't have that? I'm like, well, society's different, right? So, yeah. Millennials were taught we were supposed to fix the world when it's already a well-oiled machine, right? Uh, and that eventually millennials don't understand. We don't understand our place in the world. We don't, a lot of us get to 34, 35, and we still can't afford a house. And we're just like, what the heck? What's going on? A lot of us get to 34, 35, and we're just like, how come every girl I've dated kind of fell through? you know. And it's just like, guys, it's just a different time in history. Like things are different. We're going through a transitory phase, and it's painful. Like we don't understand what it's going through, right? Just like our grandfathers went through World War II, and then there's different events and life changing things that happened throughout life for the generations before us that they had to deal with, and they didn't have a choice, right? The Dust Bowl, right? When the atom bomb was created, the Cold War, like my parents personally, they went through poverty and they had to escape poverty by coming to the United States. That they had to deal with that, right? And what do I have to deal with? That I have way too many choices and way too many options because of technology, and life is way too easy. So when it comes to these things, you wanted to kind of look at the bigger picture and realize, like, hey, you're not that important, right? As a person, and that's freeing. That kind of lets you move on from this kind of like holding on to this messianic complex you have as a millennial that you were supposed to fix anything or change anything, right? That was never the point. The point was for you to do what you wanted on your terms. And if within that you create or at least become useful to somebody, then that's great, you know. So yeah. Okay. So lack of agency, right? So this one creates a lot of doomers, right? And this is kind of one of the saddest reasons uh people become doomers, right? And is essentially people don't believe they have the power or discipline to change their life. Um, in one of my older videos, I describe what are the certain things that make up an incel, what creates an incel, and it isn't some kind of demographic, right? What creates an incel is usually one one of the important pillars of guys giving up on dating or becoming incels, giving up on sex or whatever, is essentially they have no belief that they can change their situation. They don't believe a girl would ever like them. It's outside of their like they can't fathom a girl. Um, sorry, uh, they can't fathom a girl liking them and wanting to go spend time with them and even wanting to see them naked. They just can't. It's impossible, right? It's not. It's a far off fantasy. It'll never happen. It's a pipe dream. And the thing is that comes from a lack of feeling that you have agency, right? And what happens is you get to this point where since you were taught to emote like a woman since you were young and act like a woman, you weren't when you were young. You forgot the best part of being a man, and the most important part of being a man is that you have the power to change things. You have agency. You don't rely on your looks and your existence just to get things moving. You have two arms and two legs and a brain. And you can start affecting change in your life. And people that become doomers don't believe that at all. You hear them say, "Hey, well, it's not worth it. No matter what I do, Chad will take my girl. No matter what I do, even if I get Jack, someone more Jack will take my girl." Blah blah blah. Right? And it's just like they don't believe they have the power to change their life. They'll say things like the gym doesn't work, girls are too hard, work is too hard, right? And again, this ties into their innate entitlement, where doomers, if you guys are seeing a pattern, a lot of what creates doomers is entitlement to things, right? So, hey, if I work out, I'll get bitches, right? Like you'll become more attractive. But I'll get women. It's a sure thing. I'm like, there is no sure thing in life. There are no guarantees. You will become more attracted to women. So I'm not going to work out if I don't get a perfect answer and a perfect plan that will guarantee me a girlfriend. I'm like, that's not how life works, dude. Because if that was the case, then everybody would be in the gym. We'd be the most fit nation in the world, right? If we had a perfect outcome. Um, they'll say girls are too hard, right? I'm like, well, okay, well, if girls are too hard, when was the last time you tried? Well, I haven't talked to a girl in 6 months and my girlfriend left me, blah, 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 or this and that. I'm like, okay, well, that means you're not trying. That doesn't mean that you're trying constantly. I can say girls are hard. I can say because I put in the work. I have the 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 ability and the entitlement to say that because I put in the work. And even then, I'm like, it's not that they're hard. It's just you have to give a shit. You have to put in a little more of this when you deal with women now. It's not like you just wake up, you're a provider, and women are attracted to you, right? Everything else is easy, right? Food, getting food is insanely easy now, right? Medicine, getting food delivered to your door, buying airplane tickets. Hell, I other day I changed a flight and it took me 30 seconds. 5 years ago, I had to call and wait on the phone, and usually you didn't get another flight. But I just did it a couple weeks ago by changing, just going on a drop down menu and changing what city and what time I wanted. That's insane to me, right? Every day I find a new advancement or new convenience that I didn't know I had. That I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. Um, but at the same time, that technology, people are going to use it for dating and they're going to use it for relationships and all that stuff. So you can't have the good with the bad without the bad, and that's just life. Oh, and they'll say work is too hard. Well, another thing is like for work, right? First off, you got to understand that if you're young and you're working, you got to eat the shit sandwich. You don't get to just graduate college and get a cush job. Not everyone is that lucky. You're gonna have to grind. You're gonna eat the shit sandwich. You're gonna be treated less than the people that are more experienced because you simply are not that valuable yet. I know it's like everyone's so obsessed with their value and self worth here in our generation, right? But understand that work is going to be hard in the beginning, right? Work, they may even humiliate you from time to time, and if it's too much, you can always change jobs. But I'm just saying that like don't expect a red carpet every job you go to. You're going to have to prove yourself, right? It all boils down to entitlement, right? Uh, so the common phrase I get for this is people like essentially people don't see what you see, and the god doomers don't realize. Don't they get that the world is crumbling around them? Don't they get that women are terrible and they're going to destroy society? Don't they get that it taxes? Don't they get that the president this that it's all going to crumble around you, right? And it's just like the most important thing you got to realize as a human being, right? And this is a phrase that kind of affects people depending on where they're at in their journey of self-actualization as a man, is that no one really cares about you, right? You're not that important and you're going to die one day, right? And when you die one day, you know, the years you spent worrying about how the rest of the world was going to pan out, you're never going to get that back, right? You could have spent that time hyper focusing on your own life and improving your own life as best you can and enjoying the little things instead of worrying about what's going to happen with an election, what's going to happen with this, what's going to happen with that, and that it's the end of the world. And why does no one um, understand what's going on, and why don't they see it my way, right? Um, and understand too, guys, that the people in your life directly, like the people you interact with day to day, your coworkers, your friends, your family, the girls you date, hell, even a girl you just see on a one night stand, right? They all want you to show up for them. Like here, they want you to, when you're with them, not bring that doomer shit around them, not talk to them like it's the end of the world. They want the best part of you. They want you to tell a lighthearted story. They want you to talk about the good old times, right? With your friends. Your mom wants to see you smile. You need to show up. That's part of the deal of being a human being, is that you are a social creature and you need to provide some kind of light to the people around you, right? Or else you're going to get isolated. No one's going to be around you. You have to show up for these people. And it's in every way. It's not only dating. Uh, it's just, your employers want a guy that's a problem solver, that gets shit done. You need to show up for them. Your mom wants you to be happy and wants you to call her from time to time. And when you call her, don't be like, "Oh, mom, I don't know. I just don't think anything's worth it." No, hey, mom, how are you doing? Did you go to your appointment today? The girls you date, when you have a missionary and their titties are flopping, they don't want you to look distracted to the side and thinking about, uh, what some politician said, or uh, you know a new policy that just got enacted, or that some girl on TikTok says something crazy, right? They want you to look in the eyes and like fuck them, like hard. That, like, they want you to be in the moment. They want you to be in locked in the moment with them. And that's life, guys. Life isn't about the externals. You're not, as your human brain is not designed to take on the world's problems and to even think about the world's problems. You're designed to think about the people and the things in front of you 24/7, right? And we got a super chat here from Max Patino. You get one of these, sir.
Thank you so much, best friend.
All right. It says $5 from Max Patino. It says, I understand the word incel is used as a placeholder, but I do not believe incels being a thing because nobody owes sex to anyone. Yeah. Well, it is a placeholder term. I just say guys that identify as incels. Let's just go with that, right? To me, incel is just a matter of time. It's just a time thing, right? But I'll talk about that later on. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. One of the last dates with the last plate I had, it was summer irritated the whole time. She didn't like me that much. Yeah, exactly. Girls, when you go out dating, any human interaction, people want the best for you. Obviously, there are times where you're like, hey, I'm just not in the mood today, or I'm just not feeling it. Just give me some space, or hey, like humans understand. But if you're always mopey, or if you're always talking about the end of the world, if you're always talking about problems, right, instead of just being funny and likable and magnetic and being a light for people, it irritates people. You become a load. You become an emotional load to people, and no one wants to hang out with that. And then, that's why these guys become lonely too, because they just can't see outside of themselves. They don't see that the world and the people around them are bigger than them. That you have a pack, or not a pack, but I wouldn't say a responsibility, but there are consequences to you being a mopey piece of shit all the time. You have to show up. And if you can't show up sometimes, do the best you can to show up as much as you can, because that's it. That's life. Like life keeps moving on. People keep going, keep moving on, right? Those are your choices. So, all right, let's keep moving. Thanks for the super chat, Alex. Okay, so another reason people become doomers is that being mad gives you meaning until you're reminded that you don't have the agency to change the current status quo, right? So, what ends up happening for people that kind of have this, like, we need to save the West mentality, we need to ban this, we need to ban that, we need to stop this, we need to enact this law, right? This is why I ask, hey, what's your plan to do those things, right? Because over a long enough time period, people slowly start to realize, I got nothing in my mind, or no plan. There's nothing I can do. And it just takes so long to seep into their consciousness to realize that, right? And that's why a lot of content creators go crazy, because over time they want to affect change on a mass scale. Calls to action, teaching them the right way to think, all these things. Be like me, it worked for me. Stop doing this, kicking the ladder from under you. So like they had degenerate 20s. They're saying, hey, don't do that because the fabric of society is in the balance. It's just like, no, fuck you, dude. Like, you got to have your fun. I'm gonna have my fun now, and that you are entitled to that. Don't let anyone tell you, not even me, that because it's immoral. I think now I changed my mind that it's immoral to do something that I already did, that you shouldn't do it, right? That's very hypocritical, and it's really unfair. So yeah, so over time people start realizing, I can't change anything. And what would you rather do? Would you rather double down for 10 years and say, no, we got to rally, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to organize, we got to protest or whatever, right, over time, and then uh 10 years of that, and then you realize one day you wake up and you just realize the world has moved on. The women that broke my heart are married and have kids now. My mom is getting sick, my dad is getting sicker. There are beautiful women outside all over the place, right? The world is passing me by. I've aged 10 years, and then you realize, like, I've all I've cared about was to make society better. But society does not care about your problems. It doesn't care about anything. It just moves on. Planes are still going to fly in the air. Uh, Cars will still drive. People will still have sex whether you like it or not. And that's the bottom line, guys. That's it. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. So just get yours, just live life on your terms. And we're going to get into that. All right. So people are looking for a confirmation to their biased view on the world and support and eventually worship people that defend it, right? So instead of people kind of like fixing their own problems and looking and like, okay, thanks, guy on the internet, for giving me the tools so I can fix my marriage, fix my mindset, do the things so I could become at least have a fighting chance out here. They just end up following and eventually soft worshiping people that also convince them that if they did certain things like not have sex or read the Bible or go to church or only have sex with a certain type of woman or not get married or whatever, or make money or swear off material possessions, whatever way of thinking, that, hey, things will get better for you. But, like Whisper says, they don't want things to get better for you. They want you to sacrifice your life for not yourself, for them and their children. Your life. For a problem you didn't cause, they want you to sacrifice your life to solve it. And you don't even know how to solve it, but they want you to sacrifice your life. The sacrifice your life part is already step one. They're like, so what do I have to do? We don't know, but sacrifice your life. Okay, so what's step two? We don't know, but sacrifice what you want. And that's basically where it stops. It's freaking ridiculous the way I put it, right? But that's exactly what it is. Hey, stop having sex. It's degenerate. Okay, all right, so then what? I don't know. Just stop having sex. Okay, well, what? Like, give me a step 2 and step 3. I don't know. Just stop having sex. I don't like that. You see, there's no plan. There's nothing. There's just stop doing things, and then we'll figure it out eventually. And then magically, if everyone stops having sex, women will start cooking. We'll learn all the recipes their grandmothers know, and eventually, we're all going to get laid. We don't have to worry about red pill or game, and we don't have to see women in a bad light. Yeah, it's stupid. It's literally the dumbest thing ever. But yeah, so they follow these people. They follow these content creators, and eventually the content creators, their job is just to convince them of how bad things are, and if they just live like them, things would get better. That they hold the key to fixing everything, right? You see this in a lot of content creators, like this is war, civil war because of something happened politically, and I'm like, dude, civil war? Are you serious? Like, you're calling for people to sacrifice their lives and well-being for a political disagreement? That's crazy, right? That's insane. And then people would be like, okay, well, get married. I'm like, get married? Are you going to be in divorce court if I get divorced supporting me? Are you putting money into a fund to help divorced fathers fight legal battles for their kids? No, none of that. You're just saying, get married. You deal with the consequences. I don't have the answers to keep your marriage safe besides read the Bible and pray 7 minutes a day. No, that's not how any of this works, right? So yeah, that's why a lot of people become doomers, is because they listen to these guys and then they realize that these guys don't really have the answers and they feel lost and they're like, I give up, right? Yeah, it's crazy that if you listen to Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro or any conservative on marriage and your marriage doesn't work out, yeah, that's on you, bro. Like, you did that to yourself. All right. All right, so let's take another break and we'll be back. Let's do this one. All right. So I have found the post. I'm trying to make sure that none of my personal data is on here because it's on my personal Instagram. All right. I'm going to share screen real quick. Okay. None of my personal data is on there. All right, cool. All right. So I'm going to play the video and we're going to see what what these women's opinion are on man versus bear.
A bear or a man?
I would do a man.
A man, because I'm a chatty person. If I'm gonna die in a forest, I'd rather be talking to someone.
Bears seem a little more predictable.
Are you going to go there?
Yeah.
I would rather take my chances with a random bear.
I would say a man because I think a bear is unpredictable.
I also don't know how to do a lot of stuff in the forest.
Man, you have a better chance of like talking and persuading your way into being safe.
A man can do that for me, probably.
Would you be left?
All right. That was just a small snippet of that full video. I'm not going to bore you guys with the whole video, right? But those are regular women. And some of them were pretty cute. Like there was one girl with pretty cute, I think, blue eyes and a nice rack. And she was like, I would prefer a man because I want to be protected by a man. Right? So, yeah, guys. You want to be mad or do you want to be, or do you want to win or do you want to be mad? You know? And yeah, the man versus bear, it's hot, great for content. It does show a little bit of, a silly little part of society and a silly little group of people that like to speak for everyone, especially women. They like to be like the representative for other women. You can see it on Twitter. It's the funniest thing ever, right? But in reality, if you guys all stepped out and talked to some girls, like maybe at like a food truck place like that, regular women with regular jobs and regular lives that are just as attractive as these weirdos online, right? Those are some, like, a couple of girls were cute. Like we had the blonde with nice eyes, and then, you know, there were cute girls. Like I could see myself dating girls like that, right? And they not only did they say man, 4 out of 5 of them said, 4 out of 6, I don't know, gave a good rational explanation as to why they would choose man. It wasn't like, you know, because I would feed them to the bear. It wasn't anything mean-spirited, right? It was just like, oh, because, you know, we would work together to survive, or because I like to talk to people and I'd get bored. And I'm like, yeah, those are all decent answers, right? And here people are making a mountain out of a molehill because a group of weird women online said, hey, bear, and because I don't like men. I'm like, you know, that was cut and clipped to make you piss you off, right? So yeah, let's move on. All right. So another thing that will make you a doomer is the company you keep, right? This one is important. So the company you keep, being around uninspiring people, right? And this goes beyond the intersectional dynamics and all that stuff. You may have friends in your life that are just stagnant. They complain about everything. They're doomers themselves. They break up with a girl and it's all about them for the next 2 months and how sad they are, right? They take L's and they make it the whole friend group's problem and all that stuff. And they're just people that just like, they just never seem to like grow out of this, like, woe is me, I need to be the center of attention stuff, right? Defective women. And that shit will weigh you down, right? Because you'll have a W, like, hey, I just got promoted, or I just slept with this beautiful girl, or, you know, I just made a whole ton of money on my investments on crypto or whatever, you know, or hey guys, I booked the trip, we're all going to Cabo, or whatever guys want to do. And they're just like, so-and-so texted me again. What should I do? And just like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, you can't come with this negative energy all the time. It's this mopey shit. And that shit's going to wear you out as a person, right? Yeah, and there's also complacent people that don't seem to have any goals in life besides exist. Like, hey, dude, like, is there anything you want besides just going to work every day? Do you have any goals in life? And those are the same people that seem to complain the most about women. They just are complacent. They're not going anywhere in life. So, and then they complain that, again, that entitlement, right? Women aren't giving them the time of day or paying attention to them. And I'm just like, hey, like, dude, you've been in the same spot in your life. You know, you're not as you're not more jacked, you're not smarter, you're not more experienced, you're not, you know, you haven't, you're just complacent. Like you're entitled. You thought going up one rung in your life was gonna promise you everything, but you have to keep going, regardless if girls are there or anyone's there. You have to keep going. So yeah, complacent people. And then obviously sad or depressed. Like there's gonna be times in your life where people in your life are gonna be sad and depressed. That's fine. It's normal. People go through shit, right? Family deaths, breakups, loss of a job, you know, injuries, and just simply like one day they're just like, hey, I don't feel like I have a purpose, right? You can be there, support the people in your life, you know, but that can't be forever. You can't stay there forever, right? You have to move on eventually. And if you're constantly having to convince people in your life to just really like, hey, get up and do something, let's go out and let's do something, let's talk to some girls, let's move around, let's do something, and they're just mopey and they're bringing you down, like cut them out, you know. And that will give you more inspiration, right? Because then you maybe find more inspiring people that kind of around you that are like doing big things, you know. People that are getting or killers in their industry, right? People that are in happy relationships, people that have great social circles, and then they want you in their social circle, and then you're also around more or better people, right? People that are learning new skills, people that are trying to get you to do fun, exciting things and share in their joy. That's going to get you, snap you out of this like internet hate machine or internet dread machine or whatever you want to call it, and get you kind of like back locked in on life, and then use the internet as a supplement to reality rather than the main disseminator of what reality is. So yeah. Another thing that gets people about the company you keep, right? And this is, let's make it back around about women, is you're around women that are at their worst behavior, right? I did a show about this, where in the environment a woman is in, right, changes her behavior. I dated a girl casually for a very long time, right? And one of the reasons I really enjoyed her company was that I hung out with her in places and in situations and environments that made her, I get to see the best side of her, right? And that's what you guys have to do with women in your life, where you meet women, where you interact with women, right? If you guys go to the club, that's where women are the most entitled, right? There's a bouncer there, the bartenders, they're like basically a protected class in the club, right? So when you go talk to women in the club, they're going to act like they're too good for you. Trust me. At my brother's birthday last year, I was wearing one of my flyest gray suit, and I went to a club where everyone knew me, and I am a good, decent dancer. And I asked one of the ugliest, shortest women I've ever seen, right? Short, fat, ugly, to dance, because I don't mind. I want to dance with everyone. And she gave me a look like, ugh, you know, like this. And, you know, for a second, I was just like, what the heck? Who does she think she is? But then I realized, where am I at? I'm at a club. These women are here to do that, to feel that they're better than everyone, and that, you know, they're living their best life or whatever. That's what the club is for, right? For women. So I can't get mad because she is at her worst, right? If you approach women in places like maybe a salsa night or a coffee shop or on the street while walking your dog, women, that same woman, right? Not the ugly chick, right? But let's say a woman that has kind of treated you poorly in one of these places, that same woman will be polite, will wave at you, will have a quick conversation with you, right? And as long as you have a little game and you know when to cut the conversation, you'll see that she's not that bad. It's just that women change based on the environment they're in. And the worst, the place where women act the worst is on social media, right? If you go to Reels, you'll see women embarrassing their husband or boyfriend, right? They make content that's basically just embarrassing their husband, right? And I'm not talking about like making thought posts. I'm talking about like behavior and content that is designed specifically to make their husband look like a beta simp or whatever. If you go to Twitter, you have these crazy takes about how terrible you are as a man, right? Just because you're a man, like you did nothing wrong. You're a normal dude with a job, but you are a man and you cause all of women's problems somehow. And you see women also arguing and saying crazy opinions online, and you're just like, wow, why would they say this? Because women act the worst on social media. That's literally where they act. They're their worst selves. Um, I've met on a podcast adult film actresses or former adult film actresses, right? Who I've asked, hey, before we start, can I have a swig of your vodka, right? Or can I have some of your vodka? Oh yeah, sure, fine, right? Already from the gate, outside of social media, outside of a podcast, outside of everything, this woman is cool with me drinking her alcohol right before a show, so I can calm my nerves a little bit, right? And that's like all I need from people. People need to be polite, be nice to me, talk to me like I'm a human. I don't need them to treat me like I'm some kind of, like better than I need to be treated. I just want to be treated like a human being, like say excuse me, have manners, just like I would. And you see that over time that wait, something's not right. Women are terrible online and in the club and in certain areas, right? But when I go hang out with my friends at this spot, or I go to a barbecue, or I go to this event, or I'm in class or wherever, women are very helpful. Women are normal. Women either reject me kindly, or women kind of like are very helpful when I need them, or they're more open to an advance and don't mind me asking for their number, right? Contrary to the internet. And then you'll realize over time that you've given yourself the opportunity to experience reality and not let anyone else define it for you. You gave yourself a chance, right? Because you don't want to become a doomer. You want the choice to be like, okay, I can't become a doomer because real life is pretty nice. The internet doesn't seem to be able to define reality that well. So I'm going to use reality as my main source of information. And the internet just can be a little bit supplemental for things that I don't really see all the time. And that's the best, healthiest way to go forward with this stuff. All right. So to add to that too, some of the places women will be at their absolute worst is clubs and pool parties, right? Pool parties, like not like your local apartment pool, right? Like a pool party, like events, clubs, stuff like that. Anything that has a DJ or something like that. And the thing is, the reason they do this is because it's a place where they kind of are worshipped and treated better. They cut lines, men are oogling at them, right? They're half naked, but you can't touch, all that stuff. And it comes in different forms, right? Like 2 weeks ago, I was with some of my friends at a pool, right? And this girl approaches me. And I'm like, okay, whatever, maybe she just wants to talk. She's talking. She's like, oh, you look like a guy I used to know, blah, blah, like a friend of mine from high school. I'm like, okay. And we start talking. I don't want to be a sourpuss, but I just started talking to her. And she's like, oh, yeah, but by the way, I have a boyfriend. And I'm like, okay, cool. And it's just like, I wouldn't want my girlfriend at a pool party drunk and talking to a strange man. I don't think anyone would, right? But now I'm seeing the worst women have to offer, right? I am literally in a pool where half these women have surgeries, enhanced bodies, right? I'm all for a little bit of, plastic surgery to even things out, right? But some of them was egregious. Like you could tell it was in a very vapid place. And then a woman approaches me to kind of get attention from me, and she's half drunk or drunk, and she also has a boyfriend, right? So I'm seeing like kind of the worst of what women have to offer all in front of my face, right? But I know that if some of these women came to salsa night and I asked them out respectfully, like, oh my God, yeah, let's dance, right? And they would talk to me in a better way. They would treat me, and they wouldn't be with this air of I'm better than you, right? Because environment matters. Remember too that women have stressful jobs, right? So and stressful lives too. So they may not always be in the best mood, and they may take out their frustrations on social media, right? Imagine you're a 30-year-old girl who went out on her third bad date in a row. Of course, you're going to go to social media and get mad when a guy like Nuke is talking about the wall, right? Of course, like that's expected. That's why I always say, so what was his name, right? Because I know why women come to social media. It's to use it as a way to like, it's like their catharsis. They need to go there and just dump everything, right? Because there's nobody in their life that kind of understands what they're going through. So, yeah. Controversial. Here's that one fickle aspect I noticed after 10 years of RP plus near lifelong political observation experiences. The red pill generally does not understand politics, and politics do not understand the red pill scene. I could have held the discussion on the topic. Well, the red pill and politics have to be separate. And there's a reason for that, right? You can't have ideology and praxeology mix, because what happens is whose ideology is the best, right? Is it Trump's? Is it, any other Republican candidate? Is it, whose ideology is the best, right? The praxeology needs to be open source, and it also needs to be able to transcend ideologies, right? Because a guy in India who might think that, Trump is an idiot or whatever might be able to use the red pill, right? But if we make it ideological, we've already shut a lot of people out, right? That's not the purpose of the red pill. The purpose of the red pill is not to recruit people to an ideology. The purpose of the red pill is to give people tools so they say, hey, politics suck in your country, or I wish this guy was president too, man. But this has nothing to do with why your wife won't fuck you. So let's focus on that, and then you can move on and worry about who's president or who said what, right? And that's why red pill and politics must be separated, just like religion and all that, the ideologies, stuff like that. Yeah. And okay, so I got 3 more points, and we will continue on. Please, guys, leave a super chat if you like the content. And yeah, let's take a quick break. All right, guys, we got a couple more points. Don't worry, I'll wrap this up so you guys can move on with your day, with on your night. All right, so the next reason doomers are created is they don't believe in themselves, right? They have been convinced by content creators, their parents, their jobs, women, the internet in general, that they're simply not good enough, right? And that you will never be good enough. Like we literally have a song that says, I'm looking for a guy on finance that's 6'5", and every single girl is singing it, right? And for guys that don't have inner game, the guys that take everything women say seriously, not their actions, just what they say, right? That's gonna piss them off. They're gonna be like, well, all the music is about how women deserve more. This particular woman is on a yacht, and she's making content about how awesome she is and how she deserves better. So I'm going to believe her and take her at face value and just give up, right? And become a doomer and give up and say, hey, you know what? It's really not worth it. Truth is, most people on social media lie. I talk to other big content creators and they tell me the same thing. Like, hey, most of these people out here are not as rich, not as happy, and everything's fake, right? They are faking it. So don't feel like because someone is showing you their highlight reel through social media that their life is better than yours. A lot of the times you have a pretty good life, right? You just got to tweak some things. So another thing, I don't know if people talk about this before, but you don't go out enough to to show your power level, right? So these are the guys that do eternal monk mode, right? Eternal bulking, eternal monk mode, eternal everything, right? Like if you're a guy that's jacked, right, and you don't go out once in a while to show your power level, then you're gonna become a doomer. You're gonna be like, I can't get women. I'm like, well, dude, you're jacked. You have 6-pack abs and you have a shelf chest. Why don't you go to a pool? Why don't you go to the park and throw a frisbee? Dude, you worked hard for this physique. What are you doing? You know, like, go show your power level, right? Raise your power level so people can notice you, right? Go to a pool party, go to a place where people, like a physical activity where people can see your muscles, women can see your muscles, right? You need to show your power level, right? If you're good at, if you're a musician, right? Show your power level, right? Record stuff for social media. That's a tough skill to learn. Trust me, I know. You know, I had a guy, I'm like, dude, what are your hobbies, right? Like, he has like a doomer mentality. He's like, oh, I like to play guitar. And he showed me a picture of him playing guitar. I'm like, dude, go show your power level, dude. Focus on this. This is a beautiful skill, playing guitar, right? So go out there and show your power level. Play in a band, right? Or play in public, or social media. Like, hire someone to take pictures of you playing guitar and videoing. You know, record yourself. Show the world the best parts of you. Market yourself. Show your power level, because you're going to realize, like, wait, you mean to tell me life is better when people know about the great things about you and you go out and actually show them? And I'm like, yes, life gets much better because you're bringing value to people. People want to see you give a shit about things. And when they see you give a shit about things, that attracts them. Why is it that we as guys can watch like videos on Instagram or TikTok of guys just cutting grass and cleaning a house, cleaning a yard? Because we're seeing someone put in work and effort and giving a shit and being very professional about it. We can watch anything. Hell, I was watching ranchers take nails out of horses and cows' feet and cleaning up the wound and explaining what happens when nails and objects get stuck in the hoof of these animals, right? And I was just like, wow, I didn't know that was a thing, but these people really take it seriously. And they wrap it up and they monitor the cow. And I was like, wow, I'm very interested in this, not because I'm interested in cows and horses, but because I like that people give a shit about something. It makes it interesting, right? So if you don't give a shit about anything, right, no one's going to care. So start giving a shit about the things you like, right? And not only sedations, right? Like, I like anime, but like, is there anything that is deemed as attractive, not only sexually, but just like to people, like playing music or art, or maybe you have a certain skill or whatever it is? Show your power level, right? Show people, because people on the internet have lots of opinions about everything, but people in real life don't mind or enjoy to get to know a person that has a passion outside of consuming, right? Have a passion outside of consuming and watch how happy you get. Your brain was designed to create, not to consume. So try to skew that ratio and try to at least create something, write something, blog post something, make content online, right? Play an instrument, record a song, anything, something to get you outside of the consume and start creating. You're going to realize you were meant to create stuff. Build something, build a coffee table, build a house, build a YouTube channel, something, right? Because if you don't, you're going to be depressed, because all you're going to do is consume. And that's how people become doomers, right? They consume, and then the things they consume water down. Oh no, Star Wars is woke now. I'm depressed. Yeah, well, shit happens. I get it. It sucks. But you based your whole life on consumption, and now, like, well, dude, why don't you write a story yourself, right? Why don't you make a YouTube channel yourself? Why don't you create something yourself? That way you're not sad that the powers that be that make the things you consume change, and you're not depressed all the time, right? And that's very important. So, all right. So, another thing is that you don't celebrate your victories and you dwell on your failures, right? Another thing, obviously we're in the self-improvement space, you're grind and hustle. But dude, if you got a promotion or something. Let's say a promotion or like a raise, $6,000 a year. Not a big deal. You could barely notice it, right? But hey, friend, I got a promotion or I got a raise. Let's go out for a drink or let's go out do something. That's a good way to, that's a good way to, like, you got to celebrate yourself as a guy, right? That's not to say become complacent. That's not to say that you should let off the gas, right? But look back at your life and look at the things you've achieved, right? And be like, that wasn't easy. I should probably, I have to at least respect myself enough to know that that wasn't easy and I did it. And if I did it once, I can do it again. And that's the beauty of it. Once you start celebrating yourself, you look back and just like, I'm celebrating myself, right? But at the same time, I'm not celebrating that I did it. I'm celebrating that I know it's possible now. That's what you're celebrating, right? I'm not one of these success gurus. I think they're all kind of lame, right? But I would say the best definition of success I've heard is you know where you're at and you have a goal and you know where you're going. That's it. It isn't like getting there. It's like you have a goal and you know where you're going. That is the definition of success, right? It doesn't mean that you've gotten somewhere, right? So, for example, a lot of guys with the dating stuff, it's the starting that gets them, right? It's the talking to girls. It's to become more social, right? But once you understand how to socialize, once you understand when to cancel a date, when a girl's going to flake and all these things, and you get a little, you plunge your hand in the filth of dating, you slowly pull it out and you start getting like nice things out of it. Then, hey, if I keep this up, I'm going to meet a good girl. It's just probability, right? Because even Cappy says only 1 out of 20 women are worth, 5% of women are worth dating. That's 1 out of 20 women, right? That means 20 women you date, the year has 52 weeks, right? So if you dated one woman every 2 weeks, one different woman every 2 weeks, chances are within that year, you'd find a decent girl. And that is a white pill, right? You just got to put in a little effort. You just got to stop complaining about why do women cancel. I'm like, dude, it's a grind, right? I get it. But how bad do you want it? Or do you want to be mad? Or do you want to complain? Right. Let's see. Another thing, what makes you not believe in yourself is every event in your life, whether society-wide or personal, gives you anxiety, right? So, for example, people that lived through COVID had a lot of anxiety. They're just like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. These are scary, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, dude, you're obese. So you survived this long. Or when you were younger, you had this illness and you survived it. And you've always figured it out. Right. And that's the thing. That's another great thing about abundance mentality with women and business and jobs and people in life in general, right? That there's always going to be someone else or something else to cover you. So if the girl of your dreams leaves you, you've already achieved a hot chick before. What makes you think you can't do it again? Right? What makes you think you can't do it again? Nothing. Basically, you don't believe in yourself enough. So when you don't believe in yourself, that creates anxiety. So every bad thing that happens in society and your own life, you think, I'm never going to get over this. I'm not going to recover from this, or I'm doomed. Right? We just survived a presidency with a guy that could barely finish a sentence. I'm doing fine. I'm doing better. I'm making more money. I physically feel better. I'm still living my life just as I did before, meaning that I shouldn't have any anxiety about who gets elected. I would like a certain candidate to get elected, right? But if he doesn't, that's great. I'm going to be okay. Hey, this didn't work out with this chick. I really liked her. She was like the girl I wanted, like up and down. She was the girl I've always wanted, but that's okay because now I know it's possible, right? It's like when Rocky won, right? He lost, but now he knew it was possible to win. He was a contender. That's what you want to be for life. You're not always going to win, but you want to be a contender. So that's why we say approach pretty women from time to time. And if they give you the time of day, it doesn't mean that they're going to be as easy as mid women or ugly or lower tier women, right? but it just means that you're a contender now. You're in the ring. You're the man in the arena. You're fighting. You're getting closer, right? And that's a beautiful thing, right? You don't want to be like those guys that don't have the balls to talk to hotter women and they just stay in their tier constantly. And they could very well move up a tier if they wanted, but they never do it because they're absolutely terrified of failure. They're afraid of being that contender, right? But understand this, the feeling you get from approaching a hot chick, nothing and no one can replicate that. There is no amount of chemicals. There is nothing in existence can make you feel the same way when you go up to, you grab your balls, you go up to a hot chick, have a normal conversation with her, and even if she doesn't watch your number, you will be riding that high for like 2 days. And the hotter she is, the longer that adrenaline and high lasts. You're going to feel fucking alive. You're going to feel like a man, right? Approach hot chicks. Even if you don't expect to get their number, just have a conversation with them. Because once in a while, once you feel that rush you get, that you got over yourself, no one can take that from you. And that destroys your doomer side, absolutely annihilates your inner doomerism. There is no space for giving up when a hot chick gives you the time of day. Obviously, you need more than that to be happy in life, content. You need, probably need several things, right? But at the same time, you need to give yourself the opportunity to experience life, right? These guys on the internet, on Twitter, will tell you that you need 6 figures minimum to look at a girl that's above a 7. I'm like, okay, maybe that's what she requires in a relationship, but going to go talk to a hot chick is not for her. It's for you. It's for you to get out of the mentality that hot chicks are special and to give you that adrenaline rush and that hope that, hey, now you're a contender. You're doing what not even 1% of men are doing. And you're becoming the man in the arena. You're fighting the good fight. You're becoming a contender. So, all right. Okay. Okay. So the next thing, the second to last point is you were raised to be a defective woman, right? Women are the neurotic ones for good reason, right? Biologically, they have to be neurotic. Women are the ones that worry. Women are the ones that question everything. Women are the ones that don't have the physical strength or the depth perception to deal with threats like you. However, you were raised to be like women because of society, the expectations on you, right? How to emote, how to not roughhouse, violence isn't the answer, blah, 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 right? So you worry about everything, right? Guys that are worrying about everything, like this event happened 2,000 miles away from me. I should be scared and I'm going to, do something. I'm going to lose hope because this thing happened and chances are it will never happen to me, but I'm still going to worry about it. And I'm like, okay, dude, that's a very female way of thinking, right? If something bad happens to someone thousands of miles away, I'm still going to live my life normal. If something happens right outside my window, if someone gets shot right outside of my window, which it has happened in 2021, someone got shot outside my apartment complex. I was just like, oh, that's crazy. All right, let me get ready for work. I mean, it happened the night before, right? But I wasn't like, oh, now I gotta wear a vest or I gotta, stay strapped all the time, 24/7, blah, blah. Just like, no, dude, it just shit happens. You assess the response to it and you fucking move on. You're obsessed with your image, right? So here's another one of those things where I say, hey, like no one gives a shit, right? So if you go out and talk to a girl, you're a salsa night or at a bar or club or whatever you're at, and you talk to a girl and the girl doesn't seem interested or the girl is interested and you fumble it or whatever happens, right? No one cares. No one's paying attention to you. She'll forget you in like 2 days. And that's a freeing thing, right? You're so worried about how you look, right? Obviously, work on, being presentable, right? But in terms of how you carry yourself in life, no one's really paying attention. Everyone is in their own world, in their own circle, minding their own business. You're not that important to them, right? So don't worry. You're not a celebrity. You're not a YouTuber. You're not a model. You're not any of those things. You don't have to worry about their image that much. And hell, I don't even have to worry about my image that much, right? I'm just wearing a black t-shirt and I just have to make sure there's nothing embarrassing in the shot, right? But other than that, I don't even have to worry. So, So yeah. Another thing that makes you a doomer, right? As part of being raised as a defective woman, um, is that you were taught that you're just like a woman, that you should emote like a woman, that you should, you should be peaceful all the time, that you shouldn't raise your voice, you shouldn't be angry, that anything you feel is toxic masculinity. If and I was like, that will make you feel like a doomer because you don't know what to do, right? Because you have testosterone and you're full of it, and you have much more than the average woman, and people are telling you that your innate state of being is wrong, and that being more like a woman is right. And that can depress you as a man, right? Obviously, it lowers your testosterone and depresses you, because testosterone is linked to lower depression levels, lower depression rates, right? So you just gotta look at society, and sometimes where it's warranted, just spit back in its face and be like, no, I'm a man. It is what it is. Like, don't do anything illegal or stupid, but understand that you are a man and fully understand what comes with that. A high testosterone level, faster thinking, depth perception, ability to just not feel anything. Sometimes people are like, you don't feel depressed? I'm like, kind of sad, but I'm okay. It's whatever, right? And people will be like, something's wrong with you. You're balling it in. You're holding it in. I'm like, no, seriously, it does not bother me. Most things do not bother me. I am not a woman, right? Because they're trying to put you in the frame of being a woman. I'm like, no, this did not bother. It did not bother me. I am not affected by this thing that affected you, lady. I am a man. I don't care, right? So, yeah. And finally, in terms of this point, is that you want women to be more like men. Why don't women understand me? Why don't women act like this? Why can't women just stop doing this? Why can't women just be like more like me, think logically? Why can't women blah blah blah, right? It's like most of these weird red pill podcasts, right? Most of them say shit like that. Like, women should think, basically it's like women should think like men. I'm like, really? Really? Women should think like men? So much freaking talk about women compliments men, and women and men should be together, right? But like, no competition. But you also want them to think like you. Just like, no, that's not how that works, right? Again, you're not trying to change the world. You're not trying to change a whole species of human, a whole gender, to try to think like you, right? Women will be women no matter what. 10,000 years ago, there were women. 5,000 years in the future, they will be the exact same. Evolution does not move that fast. So why are you as a man expecting women to act like men? You'll be miserable. You'll become a doomer. You'll feel like you're powerless. I'm like, no, women will act like women, and accept that. The point is not to try to make women more like us. The point is to enjoy and accept women for who they are and move on. You can't change them. They have a biology. They have a biological imperative. It is different from our own in many regards. And that's it. That's the bottom line. There is no discussion. Men and women are different. And that's it. It stops there. There is no but. There is no this data says this. Men and women are different, and we will be different for all history. And thank God, right? Because that's what the point is. That's the point of sexual dimorphism. The differences is what gave us the advantage in evolution, right? So, all right, we got a super chat from our friend Julian, who's also a member. Here you go, sir.
Thank you so much, best friend.
Julian Reyes with the $5. On a positive note, Jack Napier was talking about a red pill card game the other day, and how everyone in the space will have their own card each. That's funny. Yeah, it'd be fun to make one. Yeah, maybe even sell it. I don't know. That'd be a fun idea. Thank you. Another one. Where am I? Here we go. Oh, we got another $5 from Julian. Here's another one.
Thank you so much, best friend.
Julian with the $5. All I can see is what is your plan on Nuke's card with the art from Hey y'all, break filler. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it pisses people off, right? Because it kind of challenges people on like, hey, great, that's a great idea you have, but what's your plan? You already said step one. Step one is give up what you want, Nuke. And I'm like, okay, like sacrifice, but what's step two? We need a step two for this. And they're like, no, I mean, I don't know what step two is, just sacrifice. And I'm just like, okay, you're very silly because you haven't given me any reason or any way forward, right? You're just saying things. You like the idea of me giving up my life and the things I want so you can be happy, right? But you don't understand you don't know the next step. You're just like, so yeah, screw you. But all right. Let's go to our last point. And this is very important, guys. And the last point of becoming a doomer, what makes people become doomers, right, is that they think they're above the human experience. They think they're better than humanity in terms of the things they enjoy, right? You see this a lot where, how do people just go out and just live simple lives, and you can see it. I want to see if I can pull up the tweet here, but you know these people that say like like normies or NPCs, normies, blah blah blah, and they're dumb and they don't understand. They don't understand that what's going on, and it's all over, and it's just like, dude, relax, bro. Go to that barbecue with your family, right? Go live your life and realize that, hey, it's not like life isn't going to crumble or like people aren't paying attention to everything that's going on, right? Like there are people that don't really have things going on. They have kids, they have a mortgage, they have the red pill isn't as mainstream as people think it is. It's becoming more popular because of certain creators, but this stuff, if you know it, it's not meant to change anyone but your life, right? It's not meant to change anyone but yourself, right? And this happens to a lot of people because you're just like, wait a minute, how do people why are people so happy to just be so ignorant? I'm like, maybe they do know, maybe they don't, right? The truth is that life goes on, and people realize that, hey, great, shit sucks, but there's nothing I can do, right? And people want to be above the human experience. They want to say, well, how could you just have kids with a woman that's not white? I'm just like, well, because I like Asian women, or I like black women, or I like Latinas. Well, what about the white replacement rate? Blah blah blah. Like, well, she smiled at me, and she's thick, and she she gave me a good blowjob, and then she was kind of nice to me after that, and we kind of fell in love. But what about the birth rate? I'm like, dude, that's not your problem, dude. You're not above the human experience, right? And a lot of people want you to act like you are, right? Like, some people will be like, why don't you dated you posted I posted a girl I used to date a while back, right, under a friend's tweet, and somebody's like, wow, dude, you really dated that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not above falling for women that maybe aren't the most physically attractive in the face, but treat me like a freaking king and that I admire myself, right? And people will be like, she's not hot, you're not living life the way I want. You're a red pill content creator. You should be only dating smoke shows. And I'm like, well, dude, I do get smoke shows here and there, but realize that the way she treated me, the way she talked to me, her skills in bed, how classy she was. She paid for our first date, and then she offered to pay every single date from then on. She has things going on in her life. She is a musician. So she plays music for me and all these things. Over time, I'm just like, yeah, she doesn't look like Lucy Liu, right? But this woman treats me like a king. And while we were dating, I had a great time. Right? I'm not above liking women outside of just like physical, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to. I'm a human being, and there's other ways to get me to like you besides being pretty as women. Obviously, you can't be fat and you can't be like hideous, right? But like, if you're not a model and you do other things like be nice and be good in bed and give me space, and when we're with each other, we give the best of each other to each other, happy in the moment, you know, then I'm probably going to fall for you a little bit, or I'm probably going to want to see you again at the very minimum. Right. Um, and all that. And that's the thing. That's like, I'm not above dating women that have more to offer than just looks. Obviously, I like hot women, like just like anyone else does. Right. But I'm not going to overlook a woman that I like. And then I'm like, hey, I like this girl. She's cooked me 3 meals, and she's teaching me how to cook more. She's teaching me how to cook, and she's planning dates, and she's a pretty cool chick. Like, she's fun to hang out with, and all this stuff. And I'm just gonna be like, sorry, the internet doesn't think you're hot enough. I gotta pass you up. And that sounds silly. I'm not above the human experience here, right? I'm just a normal dude. I just figured it out. And yes, I am well above the average man, but that's because I put in the work. And the red pill is able to take is meant to, you could take your goals and use a red pill to further those goals and get closer to them, right? And you may not care about wanting the hottest chick or a beautiful chick. You may just want a chick that's in your frame, that loves you and that treats you like you deserve, right? Like you want to be treated. And there's guys who are simply like, hey, I need a hot chick. And both are okay, because it's not about what I want. It's not about what other person's standard is. It's about you. And that's it. There's nothing else, right? So you're not above the human experience, right? You're going to feel sad sometimes. You're going to feel jealousy. You're going to feel anger. You're going to feel frustrated, right? You're going to have dry spells. Hopefully, you watch my video on dry spells, and they're very short. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to say stupid shit, right? You're going to be frustrated. You're going to want this candidate to win and want this candidate to lose. And you could be 100% completely red pill, and you still make blue pill fucking mistakes, and that's normal, right? We just want you to not make the really, really big ones, like getting the wrong girl pregnant, or publicly embarrassing yourself or something like that. We want you to, like, if you make a mistake, kind of like catch yourself and be like, hey, yep, I'm a human being. I was out of line. I get it. I'm a human. Not a big deal. And move on, dust off, and be there for everyone that needs you in your life, and especially yourself, right? So I'll leave it there, guys. If anyone has any more questions or super chats, now's the time. But yeah, it's a jam-packed show. It's a topic that I've been seeing. I'm tired of seeing people just constantly doom posting, right? And I get it, things aren't, I'm not sure about what will happen in the future. No one is. No one really knows what happens in the future. No one. Zero people, right? So why worry about it, right? No one can really predict the future. We have theories. We have, like, kind of an idea based on trends, but we don't know. And the thing is that you've survived everything in your life into this point. You're going to be okay, right? You don't want to be like Math on the timeline right now that I'm seeing, complaining that all humans are bad. It's all over. Why can't people see what's going on? You don't want to be that. You want to be a more positive person. You want to be a person that, like, yeah, shit can suck sometimes, but here's a funny story that I went through, right? You want to be a light for people, and you want to move on from all this doomer shit. The years you spend losing hope in society are years you'll never get back. So, all right, guys, with that, I leave you. Thank you guys for your time, and I will see you guys next week.